Good evening, dear friends. Imagine waking one day to a life you carefully built, the love you nurtured, the dreams you held, suddenly standing on the edge of uncertainty. That is the place where Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos now find themselves. For decades, they were America's golden couple, partners in laughter, in career, in growth. They shared joy, weathered storms, leaned into each other through both spotlight and privacy. But beneath their polished public life, something darker was quietly stirring. Today, that emotional reality has been laid bare. Kelly's worst nightmare has come true, and the long, hidden battle over Mark's health has finally emerged into the light. What follows is not merely a tale of fame or crisis, it is a story of deep devotion, of courage under pressure, and of how two people confront fragility when their bond is tested by something no one can fully prepare for. Stay with me, because I want to share the moment, the words that Mark whispered to Kelly that shifted everything, words that serve as both solace and reminder of how fleeting and precious love and life truly are, the fairy tale that felt unassailable. To many, Kelly and Mark's partnership seemed perfect. Their chemistry on screen, their harmony at home, their individual successes, all of it gave the impression of an ideal. They moved through the public eye as a unit, charming, strong, unbreakable. That fantasy captured hearts. But often, perfection conceals tension, and even the strongest facades have cracks. Kelly carried within her a quiet dread. Even in public moments, she would glance at Mark, checking for signs she hoped not to see. What if something changed? What if one morning he didn't feel the same strength? These fears she kept mostly hidden. Yet when that change began, it did so softly. Mark's vitality waned. The lines under his eyes deepened. He moved with a slight hesitation. He made small excuses. Long hours, stress, fatigue. But Kelly recognized the signs. The forced smile. The way his body hesitated going up steps. The dullness behind his eyes. She asked him gentle questions, probing subtly. He deflected. But the conviction in her heart grew sharp. Wives often know what the world cannot see. Every sigh, every suppressed yawn, every moment of reluctance can serve as a signal. She watched him, the man she loved, show struggle in places he never had before. The moment the warning became reality. They arrived at a medical office. It was clinical, sterile, yet the gravity of what was spoken there transcended those neutral walls. The word crisis was never used lightly, but it hovered in the air between doctor and patient, hanging heavily. Kelly watched Mark listen, face paling, eyes searching. The physician spoke in paced tones. There was a serious health issue, something life-altering, something that demanded immediate attention. The nature of it, whether cardiac, vascular, or otherwise, was complex and delicate. But the take-home was unmistakable. Things could change irrevocably. When Kelly heard it, her heart clenched. Her world, until then defined by control, timing, performance, and planning, suddenly felt out of her hands. The notion that she might lose Mark, once unthinkable, became a frightening possibility. Her knees threatened to buckle. She stared at him, wanting to scream, wanting to comfort, wanting to run somewhere else. But there was no escape. She swallowed hard. She stood firm. The kind of resolve born of love took hold. Kelly and Mark stepped into a new chapter, one where shimmer and glamour faded, replaced by the raw essence of what it means to care for someone when they are unwell. Kelly no longer saw the television studio as home. Her heart ached too much. How could she make jokes and laugh when her spouse lay fighting inside? Choosing love over the spotlight. In that wake of revelation, Kelly made a decision many people wouldn't expect. She pressed pause on her career ambitions. The evenings she once spent rehearsing lines or planning segments she now reserved for Mark, holding him, speaking words of comfort, promising that she would not abandon him. When many would have kept going, believing in their own strength, she instead chose to slow down, step back, make space, put her marriage and her role as caregiver first. This shift was wrenching, not easy. The life they had built, the public rhythm, the expectations, It all began to bend. The children felt it too. They had always admired their parents' strength, their optimism, their unity. But now they saw vulnerability, hospital visits, hushed conversations, frustration, and tears. The family grew closer. They began to frame dinners not just as meals, but as moments of connection, prayer, storytelling, silent gratitude. On set, Kelly's public persona cracked. She still smiled, still responded with humor, but there was a new edge to it, a shade of seriousness beneath the sparkle. Rumors whispered through media circles. Fans noted the change. Kelly's energy felt different. Her eyes held something deeper now, a quiet sorrow behind the brightness. Yet she continued, at least for a time, balancing her role on stage and her role at home, defending both with the strength she had always brought to everything. The fight beyond medicine, hearts and minds. Mark's health battle wasn't just about doctors or medications. It was about mentality. It was about confronting fear without letting it paralyze. Kelly became his fiercest advocate and partner. They studied treatment options, asked tough questions, weighed risks together. They made adjustments, pacing life differently, offering rest where there used to be hustle, leaning on specialists, trusting in people whose profession is hope in crisis. Hidden strengths surfaced. Kelly found reserves of patience she didn't know she'd need. Mark discovered courage in weakness. They turned toward each other in a way that demanded honesty. The public never saw many moments, the tearful nights, the quiet prayers, the raw exhaustion. But those unseen chapters became the marrow of their bond. And then, one night, Kelly found a note. A few lines scribbled quickly, whispers of a man's heart. As long as there is love, that is all that matters. It was simple, but enough. It tore through her defenses and reminded her of what this fight was really about. Legacy isn't measured by achievements, it said. It is the love we leave behind. The note reminded her, and all who hear this story, that love is the kernel, the essential. The words that shifted everything. There is a moment in any crisis when you realize that all the plans in the world cannot guard against what life may demand of you. In one of Mark's most difficult nights, as Kelly sat by his side, he murmured something low, with quiet determination. "Don't be afraid of tomorrow. I will be there no matter what." In that whisper was a promise, a surrender, a vow. Even in the midst of uncertainty, he offered her a piece of peace. He asked her to trust, even when the future was uncertain. Those words altered everything. They awakened a calm in Kelly, a steadying in her soul. They reminded her, and remind all of us, that love is not only in the grand gestures, but in promises spoken softly in low light. When life is fragile, promises like that, the insistence on presence even through suffering, are what affirm our humanity. What this story teaches us. This journey is not just for celebrities or public figures. It is a mirror held up to all of us. Because no matter who we are, the fragility of life is real. Careers, fame, security, these are gifts, but they are not guarantees. What matter most are the people we love, how we carry one another, how we choose to show up when everything threatens to pull us apart. Kelly's nightmare came to life. But within that darkness, she showed what light can be. Devotion prior to performance, love before ambition, presence in uncertainty. And Mark, when his strength faltered, found courage in witness and in vulnerability. Their story invites us to reorient, to remember that tomorrow is not owed, that the hands we hold, the words we speak, the hearts we protect, these may be what endure when all else fades. So as you read this, may you carry something gentle in your heart. Call a loved one tonight. Whisper the things you might have put off. Stand with those who are fragile. Love as though the world can change in a breath, because, truly, it can.